Fei said, leave the infrastructure to us. And I don't think anyone could have said it better. Last year when I was here, I said, we will meet you where you are. What I've thought about this year is just get to the cloud now. Just go there now. There's no time to waste anymore. There's lots of reasons, and I think we've talked about them this morning. But imagine a model that goes something like this. You're sitting there and you are building something on a container on your laptop. You get it working, and then you just release it to the cloud and it scales infinitely. That's how easy this is now. That's how easy it is for you to do this as an individual programmer. Now, does this matter? Well, it mattered in the last year. Let's think about Pokemon Go, right? So here's a fantastic product which had 50 times more demand in its first 2 hours than ever planned in their most optimistic forecasts. And I'm pleased to say that our system expanded, right? That the container architecture and the use of Kubernetes actually could handle the load. And I'm quite convinced that there was no other way to handle such a global phenomenon. And you sit there and you go, well, I'm not trying to be Pokemon Go. Well, if you could, you'd be pretty happy. Think about the sort of global success. So you might as well plan for global success and infinite demand. And even if you don't hit it, your architecture will be right and your costs will be lower. Give you another example. If it sounds like open source, right, using Kubernetes, Apache Beam, Spinnaker, using gRPC, Redis, HBase, you're going to have a blast. It's going to be a great week, right? Give you another example consistent with this. We just had the strongest IPO in a long time in tech in Snap and Snapchat. As part of that, when you read the narrative, there are two things that strike you. First was their incredibly fast software development in their app, both on Android and iPhone and in their community, with huge success, new models of interaction, which you all know and many of you use. But the other confusion that's interesting in their process was nobody could figure out how they could do this with so little capital. And the answer is because they used our infrastructure, right, in a deal that's a hugely successful deal for both corporations. So you sit there and you go, well, why would they do that? I mean, after all, had they spent $2 billion in data centers, they'd have $2 billion worth of data centers. Yeah, but then they'd be putting $3 billion and $4 billion and $5 billion and $6 billion in. Whereas this way they can ride the scale and the investment that we have done. So are you not planning to be like Snapchat? Well, I think everyone here who represents a corporation would be happy to be as successful as they are. Makes sense, right? But the interesting insight is in the last year, we've done two things since this conference that I'm particularly proud of. One, Fei talked about, which is the sort of making machine learning real at a commercial and enterprise-grade scale. You saw the demos, you understand the message. I'll talk about that in a minute. But the other thing that we did is we took the Google network, which is vastly better than anything else you've ever seen, all that dark fiber, all that special fiber, all that interconnect, and we made it directly accessible to the programs that you're using. So using Snap as an example, not only can they use our platform infrastructure, but they get access to their global customers through our network by virtue of the way this works. That's a very big deal. So you say, well, I'm only trying to get regional customers. Dream big. Think about having customers in pretty much every country. You get the idea. So what I want you to do is I want you to sort of understand that we can do both great cloud, that is great technology in the cloud, but we can also now work with you as a customer and a partner to build a business that actually scales globally and which you make a lot of money, which is ultimately what everybody cares about. So I want you to imagine that, and the good news is that Fei talked about it, the others have talked about it as well, we have this incredible leadership platform for the things that I think matter for the future. But the truth is that most of our customers are still struggling with the enormous challenge of their existing infrastructure. Most customers say, that's a great speech, but I'm still trying to deal with my non-x86 apps, my AS400 mainframe, all the kind of stuff that they have, and many of you work in such companies or run them. So how do you do that? So let's imagine a sales call where I am your salesperson visiting you, and we say, what are we going to do? And what I'll tell you, the first thing to do is take your x86 binaries that you have in some data center inside your company and move them to the Google VM. And you go, huh. Well, it turns out it's cheaper. And if it's cheaper, that frees up some money to do the next step. So the first thing is the easiest one. Literally take the existing PCs and the existing PC software, that is x86 software specifically, and put it onto the Google VM. What do you do with the existing systems? You leave them running. Makes perfect sense. That's phase one. What do you do next? What you do is you take that system, now you've got it working half in the cloud, half not, and you say, I'm now carefully going to take the data out of all these systems and put them in a modern, scalable, managed database, either SQL or non-SQL. How do I do that? Well, we work with you to do that. And then, of course, over time, you build and move that data to modern end-to-end services. I'll bet the rest of my professional career that the future of your business is big data and machine learning applied to the business opportunities, customer challenges, and things before you. It's true whether it's the video API and intelligence service we just announced, or more traditional classification, or the new deep learning approaches that are being pioneered at Google and elsewhere. So what happens is, at that point, you say, okay, I managed to get the data over here, and now I don't know what to do. Well, Google has a lot of resources that we can throw at this. We have customer engineers, right, to help you. We've got an office of the CTO to help you with the technology. We've got solutions architects who actually do a whole business solution for you. We have an advanced solutions lab that actually showcases some of these things. We have professional services that you can work with in the ways that you would imagine. We have people who are called strategic customer engineers who help you build your cloud. And we finally have customer reliability engineering to keep the thing running, right? So not only, it used to be, we would say, well, we have this incredible technology derived from the way Google operates, but we didn't have a full service product offering. We didn't have all the service, we didn't have all the people who could help you. And you're sitting there going, well, do I really believe you? Well, we have the references now. They are among you, and you've heard some of them today. And what's interesting is that not only do you have to do that, but you're going to need additional help, especially with the legacy systems. So we have system integrator partners, examples that I wrote down: Pythian, Augusto, Groovenots, SATA, global systems integrators like Accenture and PwC. So, okay, that sounds like a pretty good pitch. The last time anybody looked at this, it takes years to make this transition. So that was another problem that we faced a year ago, and we figured out how to solve that. We're working now to get these conversions to occur in 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. Now why? Because time is everything. And while you're doing this conversion, to some degree, some of your customer experience software, some of your value added is sort of being held captive. So another example, we have Lush, which is a cosmetics retailer, moved their point of sale in a month. Ocado rebuilt into the cloud in 6 hours. We used all of Evernote with 3 petabytes of data in 3 months. That's how fast, in the model that I'm describing, you can get there. So I think that there was a speed limit. That speed limit was defined by our ability to work with the data that you had and the installed base that you had and moving it into this new model. The new model works, trust me, and if you're doing a new build, you're clearly going to do that anyway because you're intelligent. The problem was you're stuck in between. You can't get to the new one, you're still stuck on the old one. So, I don't know, what is an example? If you have a data as an object, we now have a software mechanism that will take the data and which we call, by the way, a simple transfer service, that will basically just move it into our cloud structure, right, and just do it all over it. That's how the data gets there so quickly. You built on containers, again, we can support every model of containers. You're built on Hadoop. We love Hadoop in the sense that it's very similar to the architectures that it was based on, and it's easy to host it inside of our model or use something even more extensive like BigQuery. You like build virtual machines, as I said, just move them straight over. So we've made huge strides in terms of engineering investment and sales and customer service investment to scale that. So how do you do this? Well, first place, if you leave the infrastructure to us, we put $30 billion, and I know because I approved it, so it's real, right, into this platform. Please do not attempt to duplicate it. You have better uses of your money. I'd much rather have you take the money that you have and the talent that you have and build on top of this platform to provide that rapid iteration and that rapid extension in the model that I'm describing. What's interesting is that we're continuing to take this stuff and make it stronger. We just launched Spanner, and if you don't know what Spanner is in my view, a work of art in a computer science sense. It's a way of doing SQL, so it's a proper database, but it's both globally essentially replicated and also globally coherent at a scale of data that it has never been seen before. And by the way, we use it, it's how Google works. And by the way, we released it a week ago for the cloud. We have a container builder that does the same thing. So if you think about it, your model is something like this. BigQuery provides petabyte scale analysis on demand. Bigtable provides millions of QPS. Google Cloud Storage for the actual millions of objects, right? Again, the prices are very, very low. And all of this platform that I'm describing, this get to the cloud now model, and most people, by the way, are still in the moving their x86s into VMs, getting some of the data out of the VMs, putting them into proper databases, right? So you're still in the sort of getting there phase. Once you have the data, you have an opportunity for real transformation. I think that big data is so powerful that nation states will fight over how much data matters, right? That he who has the data that can do the analytics in the algorithms that Fei talked about at the scale that we're talking about will provide huge nation-state benefits in terms of global companies and benefits for their citizens and so forth and so on. But this is all basically because once you have to have the data, you have to do one more thing. You have to change from writing programs to instead building programs that learn outcomes. And what machine learning really is, and AI really is it's a change the way you program. And over again, and we've talked about this at some length already as a company, we've seen because of vision, right, we have the possibility of drastically reducing the number of deaths in automobile accidents and truck accidents, a big deal, right, a huge deal. And by the way, accidents in cars are going up right now in America because drivers appear to be distracted by the very technology that is going into the cars. So we've got to solve that problem. We've got to do it now. That is happening. In healthcare, in pathology, radiology, all of the sort of patient-centered issues, we're not that different from each other. And the machine learning and collaborative learning that's now possible really will produce amazing healthcare outcomes. And there's a possibility that the kind of intelligence that is going to be buildable on these platforms will really surpass the kind of insights that the average person in a business is going to have. We're seeing over and over again, people are using big data to do customer analysis, pattern matching analysis, and customer targeting that really does produce extra insight. And that extra insight is worth billions and billions of dollars in their marketing programs and knowing it. So let me finish by saying that we're here for real. You're here for real. This is an incredibly serious mission. It's something I've wanted to do since I joined the company 17 years ago. It's something that I know that the people you've heard with, whenever they started, care a great deal about it. The company has both the money, the means, and the commitment to pull off a new platform of computation globally for everybody who needs it, and something which allows you to be satisfied that our principles, which are basically about openness and openness access, really will allow you both the freedom of choice, you won't be locked in, but also the freedom to innovate. When I look at our partners and I look at the speed with which they can now use their scarce resources, which are always programmers, to scale their business solutions, their enterprise solutions, their customer solutions, their video solutions, and their marketing solutions, it just warms my heart. It's something we've looked forward to for decades. With that, thank you very much, and I'm going to